Welcome to the show. From House Homeland Security, Congressman Anthony D'Esposito. Congressman, we got breaking news. The Supreme Court, it looks like it has extended the stay on whether to stop Texas's crackdown at the border with Texas's new state law. The Supreme Court is not ruling on that yet. The Biden White House wants to stop what Texas is doing. But why isn't President Biden, taking executive action on the border, even though he's done executive actions for things like student loan bailouts?
Well, that's a great question. I think that what the Democrats and Joe Biden are trying to do is create theater for the American people. They refuse to recognize that House Republicans back in April and May sent H.R. 2, the Secure the Border Act, over to the Senate. It was one of the most secure, most comprehensive border packages that we've seen sent over to the Senate. And they didn't do anything with it. And then just a few months ago, they decided, well, I guess they started to look at polls and realized that Joe Biden's poll numbers in places that he historically did very well in, they were in the dumpster. And the biggest issue, the border. It's very clear that Joe Biden, the administration, our so-called border czar, Kamala Harris, they have no interest in securing the border. Because like you said, with a stroke of a pen, Joe Biden could implement policies along our southern border that would actually begin to secure it. He was very quick in taking away President Trump's policies, which clearly protected this homeland and kept us safe, but he doesn't want to change course. And I find it's mind-baffling. I mean, even the other last week in the State of the Union address, I mean, it took him almost 40 minutes to even address probably the biggest concern that Americans have across the station.
About crime. Watch at the border. Watch New York Times columnist David Brooks. He's saying, where is Biden's executive action at the border? One of the first things, Biden did was wipe out Trump's policies. That's what you're saying. Watch this.
And he made the point that in the early days of the Biden administration, Biden wanted to be anti-Trump on the immigration issue. Everything Trump was for, he was going to be against. So there was a moratorium on deportations. There was, all sorts of other measures. There was going to get away the remain in Mexico, so where they have the hearings in Mexico and not in the U.S. And so they really went in sort of in a leftward direction. I just think it's imperative politically for Joe Biden to do something and see what happens in the courts.
Let me call an audible. Show what Customs and Border Patrol warned out of San Diego. In last fall in October, Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad groups are trying to cross the border. This is a complacent White House. A generation after 9/11, it blew up the border. Now we got reports that Border Patrol arrested at the border near El Paso an illegal alien from Lebanon, admitted to being a Hezbollah terrorist, said he hoped to make a bomb in the U.S. and head to New York. And he said, quote, I'm going to try to make a bomb. He also confessed he trained with Hezbollah for many years, was an active member, including guarding Hezbollah's weapons, and his training focused on jihad and killing people that were not Muslim. He admitted to using fake names in Sweden, Ecuador, and Panama. That's according to reports. So how does the Biden White House collapse the border just a generation after 9/11 and not do anything with these warnings coming in from Border Patrol?
Because I think the last segment said it best. I mean, what he wants to do is he wants to be anti-President Trump, but he's not being anti-President Trump. He's being anti-America. He's being anti-security. He's being anti-America first. That's what's happening here. I mean, we have exactly what we said was going to happen, and everyone called us fear mongers. And now we're seeing known terrorists coming across our southern border, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's other terrorist organizations, and they want to cause harm to the American people.
We gotta go.
And this one, I mean, they want to come to New York City. We know that we're a target. I met with some high-ranking NYPD officials today. They are concerned because
they're concerned.
Real.
We got to leave it there.
Across the southern border at record numbers.
Yeah, they're upset. Got it. Congressman D'Esposito, so sorry we're running out of time. We appreciate you so much.